welcome to Auto Off Topic. Good evening, Brad. How are you?
I'm okay, Andrew. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm a
Excellent.
little annoyed, and we'll get to that.
Sure.
Um,
Isn't
but
that your baseline?
no, not always, not always. Uh, I just saw a picture of the um, new Harley Pan American.
Yeah, it's cool.
Pan
It's
America.
different. It's very different.
It's very different. Okay, I like the side profile and like the rear 3/4. I don't really like the front. The front is not good.
It's just different. It's not traditional. I think that's the. It looks like it's a 70s future. So it's like retro futuristic kind of thing. However, here's the
Yeah.
deal. This is why we'd even talk about a Harley. It's an adventure bike. It's not a Harley. It's not a big chrome pipes, big chrome bars, all black paint. Park outside a bar, and that's about it kind of bike. It's an actual, like, on-road, off-road, take you across the country for weeks at a time touring bike. So Harley is definitely trying to change their ways.
Hmm.
I'm okay with that. I mean, Harley is kind of a stagnant brand. They've been making the same thing for I don't know, when did the first Panheads or whatever came out? The 40s.
Yeah.
So they're making the same bike since the 1940s,
Yeah.
maybe the 30s. I don't know when it predates. I don't know my Harley history that well. And they're finally kind of embracing the future.
I don't know. I like the way the live wire looks. I don't know why this doesn't look good to me. It's just the front. The front is like a normal square Harley dresser kind of fairing looking.
Sure.
Uh, I wish it had dual round headlights, even if they were LED, but just dual round instead of the bar. I think it
Hmm.
would look better.
Well, here's the thing. Do you know what a Harley Pan America costs?
No, I don't.
So they start at $18,000.
That's pretty expensive.
It's very expensive for a motorcycle. Do you know what a live wire costs?
It's like 35 or something, isn't it? It's like
I
really
think
expensive.
I think they're around 30.
They're very expensive, unfortunately, because they seem really cool.
Yeah, so the live wire is the electric bike,
Hmm.
and the other one is the 29,799 is the live wire.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money for what you get. So here's the problem with Harley's new image that they're going for. They've been doing the same thing for a super long time, like we already said. What happens when you do the same thing for a long time? You build a fan base that only wants that same thing.
Yeah.
Some of that fan base has grown up and passed on and is no longer buying Harleys. Some of the younger fan base is looking for that image, wants to buy that, typical Harley image Harley. They don't have much of a customer base for these other bikes. So what they need to do is go after the market of other manufacturers. Say somebody who's going to be buying a BMW touring bike might, because they're the one who's going to spend $20,000 on a touring bike, they might cross shop the BMW now and the Harley. The problem is Harley has been such a crappy image to them for so long that the Harley might not even be an option for them. And vice versa, anybody who actually wants to buy a Harley to stay with a Harley isn't going to cross shop BMW. So motorcycle buyers are such creatures of habit that it's hard to break into any other new market.
Yeah.
The other problem with all of that is Harley Davidson dealers are stuck in 1975. So we have a friend that went to a Harley dealer and wanted to look at one of like the cafe'd out Sportsters and check out the live wire while he was there. And I mean, the dealership did everything except call him a girl without, without those exact terms. Basically, like, what are you, a girl? Why would you want to look at those bikes? You want this electric glide, touring, classic, loud pipe, rumble, rumble, big seats, noisy. You don't want this. You want this. And they didn't care to even show him the other bikes. So unless they change the entire culture from the company all the way down to the dealers, you're not going to sell these things. I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I spent a few years working in a motorcycle dealership. It's a very backwards place. There's no question.
Yeah. Wow, they make balance bikes for kids that are electric. That's kind of cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the problem is, you get a $20,000 touring bike and you get a $30,000 electric bike.
And they're building electric bicycles. Like that's cool.
Yeah, like I said, they're
The
trying to open up their image.
the bicycle is really pretty. Like it's a really good looking
It's
bicycle.
also what, like $8,000.
Yeah, e-bikes. It depends on the e-bike.
Yeah,
And you're kind of competing with most of them come out of China. So, it's cool to see an American e-bike.
sure,
Um, just look at the live. I'm just poking around their website. I, it's funny. I got a motorcycle license, just never got around to getting a motorcycle. But for me, an electric motorcycle makes a lot of sense
sure.
because,
Yeah, they're a
like,
great commuting bike. They're
it's
pretty
quiet,
low maintenance, probably fairly easy to ride.
low maintenance. Yeah,
Yeah,
tons of torque. Like the amount of distance I would want to ride a motorcycle, an electric bike probably makes sense.
yeah, I agree.
I mean, I'm
Now,
sure they're
here's the thing
insanely
that I have
fast.
against these Harleys. On top of everything I just said, the price point is so
Oh,
high that there are
apparently I
literally
lost
thousands of other
Brad
options.
for some reason.
Do you want a touring
Okay,
bike? You can
gonna
get
take a
a
pause. Oh, there
Royal
you're
and
back. There you're
what
back.
happened?
I don't know. You dropped out.
Oh, I
So,
apologize. So let me back up a little bit. So here's
yep.
the other issue with the new Harley bikes. They're trying for a new market. Great, fully encourage it. They're gonna have a hard time because they're so stagnant in the old market. The other issue is if you want an electric bike, you can get one for a quarter of the price. If you want a touring bike, you actually want an electric bike, you can get one for probably a sixth of the price. If you want a touring bike, you can get one for a quarter of the price. That's not a bad motorcycle. You can buy a brand new Royal Enfield for less than $5,000. And they have a Royal Enfield model called the Himalayan, which is an on off road 650cc twin touring motorcycle. Slightly upright, able to put bags on it. It's not going to be as powerful as the 1200cc Harley, but it's there's so many bikes. And at the bottom of the barrel, there's so many bikes in between that and the Harley that I just think they're going to have a hard time finding buyers.
Yeah.
I don't. I do have a motorcycle license. I do have a broken motorcycle or two.
The,
Fits the
the
theme, as our listeners know. I wouldn't own anything running. So
well, the thing is though, Royal Enfields aren't. They're cool and they're cheap, but they are cheap. So if you spent a little bit more, we make fun of Harleys because they're an American bike, but they have been making motorcycles for a long time, and they're
sure.
really nice motorcycles, especially the new ones. Like probably won't break down on you like a Enfield might. So
Okay, so you have
an Enfield is
a,
is essentially a modern British motorcycle. It's just
of course, yeah,
it
and the
was
new ones are pretty reliable too. Actually, they're not as bad as they were in the past.
yeah.
But here's the thing: you have a $20,000 touring bike or a $5,000 touring bike. All right, let's say one's 1200 cc's and one's 650 cc's, so it's half the bike. So let's say pretend the Enfield was the same, displacement and was twice the money. It would still be half the money of a Harley.
That's true.
So I don't, and we're not even talking about, Honda has some touring bikes now. The top of the line Honda touring bike is probably going to be 20 grand like a Harley, but there's so many options before that. It's just, I don't know that the pool of buyers willing to look at a Harley Davidson at the $20,000 price point when they could be in a BMW or a Honda is very big. I
And
mean,
honestly,
prove me wrong, America, buy the bikes, but I
yeah,
don't.
and honestly, one of the worst things is to buy a motorcycle new. Like nothing apparently depreciates faster than any new motorcycle. So of any brand, it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
they plateau pretty high though. They don't drop like 70% in value. If you're planning on getting rid of it in a year or two, then yeah, it's a bad move. But I think if you're planning on keeping a bike for a long time, a brand new bike's not a bad value.
Yeah.
So they kind of they do depreciate, but they hit a level they don't really drop below. You're never going to get a 20-year-old Harley is never going to be a $5,000 bike. They're always going to have value to them because they have that image. So I don't know about these because these don't have the image of all the other Harleys.
Well,
So
I'm just thinking like I would just buy a used Royal Enfield if I really wanted one. I wouldn't buy a new one because yeah, even though it's $6,500, I think a used one's like 3,500 or $4,000. So and
yeah,
it's probably a couple hundred miles on it. So you might as well go for that.
whatever. I think I buy a new one with a warranty.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, I'm miles away from ever buying a motorcycle, so
I'm less miles away because I can't tell you how many times in the past probably year that I have almost just impulse bought a Royal Enfield because I like them a lot and they're
yeah,
cheap
yeah,
and
they're
it would
just
be
cool.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have that
Well,
vintage look and they're not a vintage bike, so you can just go on it and use it. So
yeah, I don't know. I just saw that picture of that Harley, and that's kind of what made me go off on this little tangent. But
no,
the
it's fine. I mean, they're neat, and I'd love to ride one and try it out, but it's not. I don't think it's going to sell.
yeah,
Harley's too stuck in their ways, and it's not even the company, obviously, because the company's willing to take these chances. It's their customer base and the dealership network needs to have a pretty big shift in order to change. So
yeah. So anyway, why was I annoyed? Okay, um, G20 been chasing this ABS light, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
it's
I
been
talked about cleaning the tone rings the last episode. I hadn't done it yet.
we talked about the plan to try to do it.
Yeah, so I got to it. Because one of the codes, the blink codes, seemed to be the driver's side rear sensor, which had resistance, but maybe it had a poor signal. So put it up in the air, well, jacked it up, took the wheel off. Brake came apart fine because it's inside of the hub. There's no parking brake shoe in this car. It's through the caliper. So I took some pictures of it. It was like super grimy and dirty, and it cleaned up. It looked like brand new when I cleaned it. And I put just a wrench on the tip of the sensor, and it did have a magnetic pull to it. Not a lot. I assume it's not very strong because it doesn't. You don't want stuff like sticking to it. Um, did that. Then I went to do the other side, pulled it apart. Well, I tried to pull it apart. The caliper was seized. So, okay, cool. Um, like I was able to maneuver because I didn't have parts to fix this. I was able to maneuver the rotor and the caliper off. I cleaned it. It wasn't as dirty because it looked like somebody had put a new rotor on the car
Okay.
and some new pads, but didn't change the caliper, and because it just probably burned through a rotor. I don't know. Um, and I test
Well,
drove it.
was a sticking caliper on that side?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's why then. Yep. Probably
So
warp the rotor.
yeah, it's a brand new rotor because it wasn't that rusty. Um, drove it. The light didn't come on for a while. Like it took a lot longer, and the pump was kind of doing some stuff. And I was like, all right, interesting. So this was like the end of last week. I ordered some stuff from parts online, and they came in super fast. So from Rock Auto, the brakes for that car, super cheap. Like rear calipers, $58. Fronts, $25. So because I was like, should I do the front? Should I do them all? And I was like, well, then I saw the price of the front calipers for remans. I was like, oh, that's pretty cheap. And
Might
then
as well do them.
a full set of pads and rotors, like centric ones with like painted black hats, were like 150. So like, I gotta send the cores back. With the cores, I was like $400 in parts for a 4-wheel brake job. Okay, I might as well do it because I don't know what was done. I don't know how old all the other calipers are. Whatever. Start at zero. So I did the rears, and they bled fine. Made sure everything was clean. Took it for a little test drive around the block. Got it's like a mile loop around the block. About to pull my driveway, light comes on. So, I mean, the pump was doing some stuff. It seemed like maybe there was some air in the system because they did bleed well, but the driver's side, when I took it apart, this was the not stuck one. Like no fluid was dripping out when I had it apart. Like I left the caliper attached to the hydraulic line as long as possible until I was ready to put it on, and then I swapped it over, and like nothing came out. It's like, okay, that's weird.
Interesting.
Because when I did the other side, the same thing. As soon as I undid it, it was dripping. It's not pouring out; it's just dripping. Normal. All right. So put it together. It did that. Drove it a couple other times, like 5 mile round trip. Light would come on one way. I'd shut the car off, get back in the car, drove back to the house. Light wouldn't come on. I'm like, all right, maybe it just needed and also the pedal was a little hard. I was like, maybe there was, because the pump was actuating. I was like, maybe there was some air stuck in the pump because it wasn't working for so long. It was disconnected. I don't know. And the seized caliper gave the illusion of a hard pedal to whoever did the brakes before. Maybe. I don't know. And then, so I was waiting for the other calipers to come in. So I did those tonight. Put them all together. Everything bled well. And I cleaned up those tone rings. Those tone rings are on the outside. They were much more rusty, but they weren't filled with stuff. So I cleaned them up best I can because they're on the CV axles. Other than replacing the CV axles, which I don't really want to do, is the only way to get new ones. Now when I once you hit 3 or 5 miles an hour according to the service manual, that's when it does its self check.
Okay.
As soon as I basically drive up my driveway, now the light is coming on. Okay.
So you can't even leave your driveway now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear the pump comes on it doesn't come on every time. It's like a normal car with ABS pump. Sometimes you go to pull away and the pump comes on. Sometimes it doesn't. So I don't know. And then I tried to get it to blink for me and it wouldn't blink. So I'm going to try it again tomorrow. I don't know. I couldn't get the pin in there right to do it. Trying to see if there's a different code. It's super weird. If I knew someone with Nissan Consult, I could plug it in. It would give me the exact code, but
right,
that's a dealer only thing.
Well, here's the good thing.
Yeah,
we know it's not the ridiculously expensive ABS sensors because now you made the system work. So we've ruled that out, correct?
It's gone. I've been able to drive it and not have them come on.
Right. So the sensors are working.
They're doing something.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe having the other sensor clean, but I also test drove it without having replaced the caliper yet. That maybe that seized caliper, that's causing a wheel speed mismatch because you're stepping on the brakes, but it's not really doing anything to that wheel.
Yep, that one wheel's always going to try to run slower than the others.
It's going to try to run slower, or it's going to run faster because the brake doesn't do anything and you've already slowed down the other wheel. It's very strange.
So you haven't driven it yet with the new caliper on it?
I test drove it this afternoon with all four.
Okay.
It comes on almost immediately as you start to roll away.
Interesting.
Yeah. Pedal feels great. Brakes feel great. Car drives better because it's not dragging a brake.
Right. It's probably a big difference.
Yeah, it felt a little sluggish, and I was like, and there was a lot of brake dust on that wheel, but I thought, oh, well, maybe that was on the front at one point. And nobody ever washed it. That's not uncommon.
Yeah, but it was just because it was stuck.
It was stuck.
It's annoying. Well, I mean, I guess you're getting through every little thing, so eventually nothing will be left, and then something will fix it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to do sensors because they're very expensive.
Right, because they're $400 a corner, which doesn't make any sense.
No, I don't think it's the control unit because it's doing its self-check, and all the fault diagnosis I found, I followed through, didn't point to that.
And the light doesn't come on. And the light doesn't come on until the car's rolling, so it's not like the system's doing something weird inside the system.
Yeah, it's trying to do its self-check.
Maybe you just need some miles put on it, honestly, because maybe there's just, from so long of not working, and now you cleaned them all up, maybe it needs a relearning time. Is that possible?
I don't know.
I mean, could be, I think. Maybe not.
Maybe not. I might disconnect the battery, try to clear that's the other thing.
clean memory.
First thing I tried to do the code wipe thing. I couldn't do the right order or something, and it wouldn't clear the codes because I wanted to really try to clear the codes so then you drive it and see if new codes pop up because you can only
Right.
hold 3 at a time. And it had 2 were stuck in there for so long because the system wasn't powered. So those were 2 of the codes. So one was a sensor code. I don't know. It's annoying.
Yeah, maybe just go down and
It's
unplug the battery before you go to bed tonight and
Yeah, I don't
try
know
again
how the
tomorrow.
memory works on it. If I just have to unplug the control unit or the actual battery, or if it's like a hard memory, it keeps it. Um,
Well, the control unit was unplugged for so long. If they forgot it by unplugging the battery, then it probably would have if it was unplugged because there's no power going to it. And then you plugged it back in and the game on again.
no, because when you pull the fuses for the system, it just turns the ABS light on. It's an instant
Oh,
fault. So now it's not having an instant fault, and the fuses are not blown. So now it's trying to do its self check, and then it comes on immediately. So I don't know. I'll read through the service manual again. It's weird. It's now probably if I was planning on keeping this car forever, I'd probably just pull the bulb and screw it. But
yeah, you
it's
want to try to make it
it's kind of
right.
a challenge now at this point because everything else works in the car. I mean,
Yeah,
everything works except for the ABS. Like,
right. And it's cleaning up nice. And every time you do a little more to it, it looks a little better. And
yeah, the brakes will look great behind the new wheels.
yeah, well, exactly. You didn't buy the cheap brakes. You bought the ones with the nice, colored um, hats on them, and they won't rot just sitting there. So
Yeah. Um,
so it
yeah.
does stink, but it is what it is. You'll get through it. Keeping the faith.
Yeah. So I'll still I'll try to figure it out, and in the meantime, I'll throw the lowering springs in it, and I still got to buff it out. I got to order some tires for those wheels, but
What are we doing for tires?
probably just well, it used to be S drives, but now they switched them to, I think it's almost the same tread pattern, but now they're called Advan Velvas or something.
It's cool they put them under the Advan banner now, though.
Yeah.
That's always a little more street cred. They're a good tire though. They're good for a
Velvas?
low powered. They're good for a low powered car like that.
They're a 300 tread wear. They're a good
Yeah,
tire.
yeah. Not too sticky and not too pedestrian.
I run them on the Glant too.
Yep.
They're pretty sticky actually.
Yeah, but they're not like an aggressive like our compound that lasts 2,000 miles.
No,
They're a decent in between. They're a good summertime New England tire because they're good in the rain and they're good in the dry. They're probably not great in the cold, but you don't run them anyway in the cold. But they're just
no, no.
they're a
It's a
good all
300 tread
around
wear.
tire. Yeah, they're a good all around tire.
So
I've run them on a few cars myself. So the only reason I don't have them on the Eclipse is because I got such a killer deal on those Dunlops. So
no,
otherwise,
they have a cool sidewall, and I think the tread pattern's pretty cool.
yeah, they have that nice
So
square sidewall look that looks good on a '90s car.
yeah, they look pretty meaty on the
Yep.
15x7s because it's the same size wheel that I run on the Galant.
Yeah, it's pretty common '90s sedan size,
Yeah,
15x7. I think 15x7s are the same size that's on everything from my Starion to the Sapporo to the Eclipse is 16s, but all similar sizes.
I had the Galant out. I did drive that around a little bit.
Excellent. The weather broke for a day and then
That's
got
been
crappy again.
that's been pretty nice.
I heard it was snowing out there today, so who knows?
Not near me. It was cold.
A little
It
further
dropped
north.
like 20 degrees, but it's looks like it's going to stabilize. So I washed it, and I was looking at the stuff, and I was talking to you about it. The problem with that car is it doesn't even see that much sun. I think it's because the garage is not heated. The interior gets heat cycled, and the leather is just not doing great.
Oh, also, for the
And it,
first 20 years of its life, it saw sun all the time. So,
yeah, it's just kind of a bummer because it wasn't that bad, and like it literally didn't spend any time outside, hardly any last year, and definitely not during the winter. It's just like the top of the rear seat is finally starting to pull
but
a
it's
lot. It's
pulling at
super
the
common.
seams, so it could be repaired.
Yeah, it's kind of like torn. I don't know. It's annoying. Um, I think, like I was saying to you, probably the best bet, find some like JDM rear seats that are cloth,
Okay.
and then switch the front buckets to a reclining back Recaro. A blocky '90s
Yeah. Well,
style.
the seats in the car aren't great anyway. They're comfortable enough, but they're not bolstery at all. So it
No, they have
wouldn't
no
hurt.
bucket to them, and they're
Yeah.
broken down. That's the other problem. They're cars. I didn't realize too. I was looking at the odometer. When I put that car together, it had like 125,000 miles on it. Now it has 160,000.
Okay. So you put 40,000 on it.
Yeah, that's a lot for me. I don't put that many miles on cars, so that's a lot of miles for me.
Yeah, that's pretty good mileage actually for you.
Yeah,
Well, it did go all the way to Georgia and back once, so
I
that's
mean, it
part of
took.
it.
I went to Texas and back
Texas and
too.
back. Yeah.
I mean, that took 10 years, but
Yeah.
still, that's a lot of mileage for me to put on cars. So
So I had somebody over here the other day looking at the Volkswagen with me,
yeah.
um, who is a Volkswagen Audi tech.
Oh, I was hoping they were a tow truck driver and they're taking it away.
That's the next step. Because he's like, yeah, he goes, it's not anything simple anymore. He's like, you've done everything in the order I would do it in, and the car's still not running. He goes, it's either going to be an ECU issue or some real deep seated wiring problem somewhere,
Yeah, somebody
which
cut a wire somewhere, and
which
I
I
have no
wouldn't
idea
doubt
what it
looking
is.
at all the wiring in the car. So, um, it's going to go away. So it's official. The project is dead. There is no more time and effort being put into it. It'll
Good.
be sold as a non-runner, and whatever $1.95 I can get out of it, I'll get out of it, and we'll make it go away. So
Good.
I feel better having somebody come look at it that says, "Hey, you did everything you should. There's nothing else you can do. You're all done unless you want to really dig into this thing and start spending some money." So
Yeah, and it's not like it's a nice car like my G20, and it's worth spending a bunch of time trying to figure out the
no, it's
problem.
a very average 2002 Volkswagen Golf, if in fact probably slightly below average. So it's just not going to happen. It's unfortunate, but it seems so simple. Just needs fuel pump. Have a nice day. But just like everything else advertised, just needs fuel pump. It needs more than just a fuel pump. I think I'll advertise it. Just replace the fuel pump. Still doesn't run.
It never
So
ran when parked.
yeah. Well, the funny thing is it did run when parked the first time. So it ran. It ran when parked in Jordan's garage, and then after he did the brakes, that didn't run again, which is
It's been
obviously
moved multiple times. Does not run again.
yeah. So take it away. Has new hood strut bonus. Washed it once. Removed the decals. So it's gonna go away. Unfortunately, fortunately. I mean, it's what it needs to happen anyway. I wasn't planning on keeping the car, by any means. It was always a means to an end to get rid of it. But at this point, I've exhausted all options. The problem with diagnosing the ECU is it requires the dealership involvement, and there's no cheap way out of that. It's just like your Nissan Access tool or whatever it was you said you needed. I need a VAGCOM to scan the thing to reset it to the new car because you need to have the ECU learn the theft. What do
Yeah.
you call it?
Well, Nissan Consult's pretty common.
Consult. There you go.
They used it for a lot of things. So,
And the VAGCOM
I,
is too. I just don't know anybody who's got one.
yeah, I might know someone that's got Consult, so I'm gonna figure that out. But at least I have the option to do the blink codes. It just I don't know. I
Right.
couldn't get it to do it this afternoon. There's like a specific way to get the pin in there to do it, and
And again,
I was already annoyed, and I was like, oh, whatever. I'll just look at this tomorrow.
that's not a car you're going to throw away. That's a car you're planning on fixing and
Yeah,
keeping. So it makes sense to go through it and do it. But this Volkswagen just, it's over. It's over, Johnny. It's over. I mean, the thing that stinks is it's got nice tires. It's got decent wheels. It's got
don't justify
zero,
it.
literally zero. I'm not justifying it. I'm getting rid of it no matter what. It's got literally 0 miles on the suspension and 0 miles on the brakes. So whatever. See you
Good.
later.
Someone can part it out.
Right. Somebody should do like a VR swap to it or something. Spend their money that way. or part it out. I don't care what they do. Get out of my driveway. So unfortunately, the title is not in anybody's name that lives here. So we're waiting to have the title notarized and get it moved. So that's the only thing holding us up, or else it'd be gone already. Because unfortunately, it's just in the way. So, and the Cresta leaves tomorrow for getting the door fixed.
Oh.
Yep. I may have gone a little dumb. I got a quote to fix the door.
Yeah.
And I was pretty happy with the price.
Yeah.
And then I talked to the gentleman a little more.
Yeah.
And we're going to fix the whole side of the car.
What do you mean? What's wrong with the side of the car?
It's just not perfect. And I figure if we're gonna make the door perfect, you're gonna blend into the rear door and the fender to make the paint perfect.
Here it spirals.
I might as well fix the whole side of the car, right? So we're gonna flatten out the whole side of the car and make sure that any of the little wrinkles and waves and ugliness are gone on that side of the car.
Okay. Okay.
I'm doing the whole car because I can't afford to do the whole car. But I have to do the door anyway, so it's kind of like a while you're in there deal.
The guy seems like he's into it, though. He sent me his Instagram. He's pretty cool. He's into old cars. He's into painting old cars, which is that seems he's into painting like our sweet spot cars, which is from 1970 to 2005.
Yeah, and he's got a major, huge project in his garage that he works on all the time. It's a 50 Merc, I mean. So he's got other stuff too.
Which people who paint cars like that here in New England seems non-existent, or I don't know anyone that does that. So
very few and far between, because the problem is the money from painting insurance jobs is so much better.
Yep.
So
because people just don't. Well, that's the other thing. So paint doesn't get fried here, so people just don't paint cars or have cars painted.
Cars rot away before the paint falls off.
Yeah.
Whereas here, cars don't rot away, so the paint eventually falls off, and they get them resprayed.
Yeah. It's weird. Weird how that works out, but
whatever. I'm going to have them take care of it. I want the thing to look.
That's cool.
I want it to look spectacular because I don't plan on getting rid of the car anytime soon. So I might as well go through it and not be embarrassed to park it with the passenger side showing, or like drive down the highway and try to stay in the right lane all the time so nobody can pass. Nobody sees the right side of the car.
So embarrassed, literally.
I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand. I don't know.
Put a paper bag on your head.
I don't know if it's because I work in auto body and have for the past 20 years, or if it's.
Oh, okay. It's a bad reflection on you as a auto body expert.
It's not that's a bad reflection. Just I know it more than other people probably. And here's the thing: is so I didn't even want to bring the car out to the South Mountain event because it had the bad paint and it bothered me. And I tried to park it where people would like walk up to the driver's side of it, but then other people pulled in next to me and look at you, Ron, parked your car there. So, I mean, somebody was going to eventually anyway, but just happened to be Ron, so I can make fun of him. Or not make fun of him, give him a hard time, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, people saw the passenger side, and half the people were like, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. And the other half of the people were like, yeah, that's as bad as you described. So it's justification to me that it needs to get fixed. Right. So it's getting fixed. So I was initially going to just like buy wheels and tires for it to get rid of the rotas, but I think that's less embarrassing to me right now than the miscolored door. So,
well, I've got some spit monas for you if you want.
I'm spending the last of my discretionary income cash on this paint and repair job now, so probably not going to be buying wheels for a little bit. Give me a few months anyway.
I got them listed. Nobody's really messaged me about them. I had a couple of people comment on the things. I don't know. Apparently, the center caps are rare.
Okay.
I mean, I think the wheels are rare, and I don't know any other wheels that are for sale in the United States that are those. So
I haven't seen any.
Yeah.
But rare doesn't mean desirable all the time either. So
nope.
I mean, they're cool, and the right person will buy them. And like I said, I think they'll look right at home on a 510 or.
Yeah, it's a 70s car.
Yeah. They look right at home on a Cressida too. They're just.
Just not the color of your car. I don't think the gold just doesn't.
Work with the yellow. Honestly, if you don't sell them, I would probably purchase them for my 74 Gold. So
Might look pretty cool.
yeah, we'll try them on there and see what it looks like if they don't sell. So you have an out, just not today. But
Yeah, or I'll just have to buy a car that they fit on.
that's also a good idea. I can make a great deal again on a '74 Colt.
No, thank you. No, 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 no.
So I'll be out in Massachusetts in May, and I think one of the plans is to get the ignition fixed on that Colt, so I can see if I can get it started while I'm there. So shouldn't take too much. Just drain and fill the gas tank, and needs a coil, resistor, and plugs and wires.
Yeah, I gotta get to my. It's like I gotta get to my queue. I haven't even touched that.
Well, you're doing one project at a time,
Yep.
and still dealing with your house. So
Yeah. Pretty
not
much done.
easy time. Not easy time. But hey, summer's here, so you can be outside, so it's good. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about the queue. I hope it's not as frustrating as the G brakes, but it'll definitely be.
I hope not. It seems to be fairly well known, that issue, but it's kind of common across Nissans. Some people have recommended me things that from old Nissans that they know about, so or '90s Nissans, so
Excellent.
which are old Nissans now.
At this point, that's 25 plus years old.
Yeah.
So time doesn't stop.
Nope. 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 Yeah, I was like, man, the cars we like, and then I was like, wait a minute, they're like 40 years old. It's like the sweet spot of cars that we like.
Yeah. Well, it's like we keep talking about the whole 30-year cycle. We talk about it all the time. You know, there's no price that can't be met with nostalgia. So
No,
that's what gets us there.
no. So speaking of that, did you see the 22B auction results?
Yeah, $312,000.
Yeah, for
It's
a
fine.
40,000 kilometer 22B, which was like what 35ish thousand miles or something. 30ish thousand miles.
Probably less than
20,
that. Yeah, probably somewhere in the
28.
high 20s. Yep.
So basically a new car. Some people are butthurt over it. I'm like, I don't really get why. It's literally like, I think they only made like 300 of them. It's a super rare car. It's not a GC8.
I think they made like 2,500 of them.
Sure, but it's not. It's not like how they made GC8 WRXs. Like they made a lot of those.
Yeah, of course.
It's not the same car. So like,
It's the Type R. It's like an
it's
Integra
probably
Type
even
R.
it's probably maybe even more special than Type R, more rare
Oh,
than Type
only
R.
400 numbered 22B STIs were ever built.
Okay, there you go.
So
So it's not the same. It's an incredibly rare car, um, and that's why it went for so much money. I mean, it's funny that it's kind of almost like the in-game economy of like Gran Turismo, like kind of predicted this future. I feel like.
sure,
Um,
probably because it knew the cycle of cars. I mean, here's the thing: everybody whines about the auction sites. Everybody whines about the Radwood effect. Everybody whines about why these cars are going for more money. But the Subaru Impreza WRX 20 STI 22B is just the Hemi GTX Roadrunner Special Edition, of 2021.
yeah,
That
it's
was
that.
in 1991. People were like, "Oh my God, why did somebody just pay $11 million for a
Yeah,
1971 Hemi Cuda convertible?"
yeah,
It's the same
exactly.
damn thing. It's not. There's nothing.
It's the
Nobody's to
Hemi Cuda.
blame.
Yeah,
Nobody's to. Nobody's falsely inflating these prices. It's just life. It's just the circle of life, the cycle of life, the cycle of money. There's all these doomsday predictions. Oh, people are spending way too much money on cars now because it's the end times for car enthusiasts. You're not going to be able to own a
they said
gas-powered
that
car.
30 years ago.
But what I'm saying is, I'm reading all these articles now that are saying this, and it's not true. Like, people are spending money because they have it.
Yeah,
Name another time in history where somebody could have spent $100 on Bitcoin 5 years ago, and now they have, a bank account worth $5 million. Like,
yeah,
the amount of money in the world right now is stupid,
yeah.
and people have stupid money. They're gonna buy stupid things. It's the same thing that happened again in that 1989 auction where a Barracuda convertible went for so many millions of dollars. Do you know why? Because people had stupid money before the crash.
Yeah.
So
Um,
here we go.
I wouldn't. Yeah, and it's okay. You can say, it's just a Subaru, it's just a GC8. No, it's this very special, very particular car.
Sure. And a Hemi Cuda is nothing but an old Plymouth.
Yeah. So,
It's the same fucking
however,
thing.
however, in that same breath, you can get a similar driving experience from a GC8 four door WRX,
Yeah.
or
Or if you want to spend more money, buy a GC two door. You can probably get one for about 40 or 50 grand now, which is a lot of money, but it's it's the same price as six of those. So,
yeah. I mean, and
or
you
six.
could, some people are like, oh, you could swap them, but I mean, whatever. Yeah, you could
Sure.
swap a GC8, but it's a pain in the ass. You got to make it all work. You got to do all the work, or you got to buy it done. Um, so why not import a JDM version that was already engineered to be a WRX?
Yep. It's going to
So
be a better car overall.
who cares about that it's right hand drive?
Yeah, whatever.
Um,
It's a minor inconvenience. Are you
no,
going to you go to
and,
McDonald's
it,
every day? You shouldn't have it anyway. Then,
and it'll still it'll still it'll still hold its value. So
yeah,
even if you spend 15 grand on it,
I think it'll
um,
hold its value more than a swapped GC coupe.
absolutely,
Yep,
that's what I'm saying.
yep.
Um, yeah, whatever.
So,
And I don't think that you're not gonna swap one of these cars for 5 grand anymore either,
nope,
because a clean GC coupe is like 5 grand
more than that.
minimum.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
more than
yeah, I was
that.
gonna say they were 5 grand in 2012.
Yeah, they're 10 plus now for a clean coupe.
Yeah,
So you're not going to get the experience for less money than just importing one from Japan right now.
yeah,
Until people catch on, and then the ones in Japan wind up being just as much money, if not more. But
yeah. Just like Evos are starting to go up. So
yeah, they were 15 grand for a long time, and now they're all cresting 20. So
yeah,
I'm seeing them sell at auction around 20, which means by the time you get them here, they're 23, 24 for a
I
nice
think they're
one.
still worth it. Still worth it at that point.
100%. 100%. I just didn't buy my Bitcoin in, 2017 to have the millions to spend on cars. So,
A funny thing about that, I remember reading about it in like 2010, 2011,
sure.
because I had a job where you could just sit and read the internet all day, and I was like, but I was also like kind of broke, and I was like, man, if I had like an extra $100 just to buy Bitcoin just for the hell of it,
Yep.
man,
And you'd have sold it when your 100 became 200 and be saying the same thing now,
yeah, probably,
you know?
um,
So
yeah.
it's
Or you could be one of the Bitcoin millionaires that doesn't know their blockchain password or whatever.
yeah,
You can't recover it.
that's true.
You've got like $5 million and you can't recover it.
Yeah, there's been a couple of those stories.
Yeah.
But anyway, so basically what this comes down to, we were talking about, is there's stupid money in the world, and we're in an unprecedented time of people who shouldn't have money having money. And it's the way life is going to be. We can't blame any one thing. There's no doomsday. You're not going to be able to enjoy your old cars in 10 more years. Like, it's none of that. If that was the case, they wouldn't be worth the money they're worth. So,
Well, speaking of auctions, there is a 2007 V70R wagon on Cars and Bids that I shot pictures of. So you
excellent.
should go check that out. It's a pretty cool car.
And if your page loads weird and the pictures look like they're terrible angles or the car's cut off, it's your device you're searching
Yeah,
it
it's your
on.
device. It's not me.
As I learned, I was like, Andrew, these pictures are terrible. Why did you cut the car off here? He's like, I didn't do that. So, no, they are excellent pictures. Actually, is that the parking garage that we used many years ago to sell my Volkswagen?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Nope. That
It's a
was
very similar look.
down off of 95 somewhere. It was kind of in between me and the seller.
Okay.
Met in the middle. So
Okay. It was a very similar look to the pictures we used to sell my GTI back in like 2008.
So if you're in the Northeast, let's say Eastern Massachusetts would be best. I am available for shoots.
Yeah, well, I'd say Northeast. I mean, you'd say New Hampshire, Maine, depending on where
Yeah,
you go, schedule it out and pay the mileage, and we'll come do it there too.
it'll cost a little more for travel, but
Yep.
Eastern Mass is a little easier, but we can figure it out.
Well, we'll do a shoot when I'm back in May because we're gonna have the hopefully either on probably on Rad for Sale the Saab pretty soon. So
Oh yeah, yeah. You should probably fix that when you come home.
yeah, there should be brakes there. I bought 4 calipers for it, so regardless, 4 calipers and rotors. So regardless of what one stuck, we're just gonna replace all 4 of them because they were cheap.
I love doing a good brake job.
Yep,
They're.
that should be an afternoon in
I
that car.
literally did the fronts this afternoon on that car, and I made a video on it in less
Excellent.
than like 2 hours.
Yeah, I feel that we should be like one morning start and be done by lunchtime. It shouldn't be a big deal. The fronts have been recently apart because I threw pads in it like as a stopgap a while back. So
That was
yeah,
like 5 years ago, but yeah.
you're right. That was a long time ago. Probably even more than that. It's been sitting for a while. Anyway, so yeah, but that's the plan to put that on Rad for Sale. So we'll do a photo shoot of that too.
That's the thing. This is one of the first times I really did it with electric power tools, and I'm
Uh,
like, oh, I get it. I so get it. I got it before, but I was like, I really get it now. Like,
I got it 100%. Like I've always gotten it, but when the moment for me where it really clicked was when I was working on my back in the driveway here and was not looking forward to taking the gas tank out of the Starion. And within 30 minutes, it was out,
yeah,
and I had no busted knuckles.
yeah. I mean, it depends on what I'm reaching for. Like, I'll try it and just make. I'm like, okay, that's super tight. I could get the breaker bar. Wait a minute, I'll just use the 1/2 inch impact because it's the same.
Yep. Well, I looked at the car and I said, "Here's what's going to happen. These bolts are either all going to break, and we're going to not put a fuel tank back in the car and just run a $25 fuel cell in the trunk because the car's not staying on the road forever, or this impact will take them off." So I put the
Well,
impact on it, and I soaked them for 2 days in some deep creep. And man, well, not deep creep because I can't find it here, but PB Blast. And man, they came off like butter. So
nowhere carries seafoam, huh?
everywhere carries seafoam. Nobody has deep creep.
No, you probably order on Amazon or something.
Yeah,
So
I never think of it ahead of time. So I was like, oh man, I need this, and then I bought a can of PP Blast, and I haven't. Most of my cars aren't rusty out here, so I haven't gone through the whole can, obviously.
see, I have a new theory on rusty bolt removal. So you come up with these theories because you deal with rusty bolts all the time. So sometimes the
What are
stuff
you, a
that was
New
really
Englander?
stuck. Yeah, sometimes stuff was really stuck. I was reading the the book that our buddy Jordan gave me about rusty hardware, which is a really funny thing. It's purely about removing rusty stuff. So part of it was shock theory. Before you
Yep.
go reach for heat, is to break
Smash it.
the rust crystals
Yep.
by hitting. So you can take a hammer and hit the head of the bolt just to not like smash it like your Thor or something. Just like tap it, give it some good strong taps, and then rust penetrant. But the other thing that happens too, you could use a breaker bar, but you're putting a constant torque on it. When you use that electric impact, it's got that hammering effect, which is basically like hitting it,
Yep.
and that does seem to work better because you're kind of hammering on something.
Well, it does work better because when you're using the breaker bar, you're stretching whatever the weakest point is. So if the weakest point winds up being the stud that your hardware's attached to, that's how you break the studs.
Yeah, yeah. So I've switched to the impact method, and then
Yes.
it depends. And then I sometimes I'll break stuff free, and then switch the electric ratchet. Even though it does do ratcheting, it's probably just as strong as my regular ratchet. I just feel guilty about cranking on an electric thing that's a ratchet, the Milwaukee ratchet. But I could
It's
probably be
also a
rougher with
little.
it.
It's also a little ungainly.
Yeah, I could
I
probably
mean,
be a little rougher with it. It is a pretty tough tool, but
yeah, I
um,
treat it. I treat it pretty well too for that same reason. Because if I did put too much torque on it and I broke it, I would feel really dumb.
yeah, yeah.
Because it's like $200.
Yeah, so I do like I'll put like the box wrench on there and just get that initial break it free,
Yep.
and then you can zip it out with the um
Well,
the
it's
machine.
it's it's also funny because the tools I use most are like a gear wrench that I have a really nice set of metric Cornwell. Um, they're not gear wrenches; they're the Cornwell version of them.
Yeah.
Um, and every time I put one on a fastener and it doesn't move immediately, my brain hears your dad yelling at me for not using the correct, proper closed box wrench. So I get up and go get the old box wrench from the toolbox.
Well, that's funny because I have a 14 here that, yeah, I definitely broke that way. It's definitely acting up. So,
Yeah. I mean, they're
um,
lifetime warranted, so maybe I shouldn't worry as much, but I get that pinch of Tony in my ear saying, "What are you doing?" So I go get the box wrench. So
yeah, it, yeah, but then just, especially just, um, I have gout, and I think sometimes it gets into my hands, and just it's just easier just using electric stuff sometimes.
yeah, no, I 100% agree. I don't know why we didn't use it a long time ago. I mean, other
It
than the
didn't
fact that it
exist.
didn't
It wasn't super.
exist.
It wasn't super cheap either.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not.
it's still not
It's
super cheap. I just think that we're not teenagers anymore, so we're okay spending $200 on a 90-degree quarter 3/8 drive.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
big
just
big
way better.
difference. Back there, like $200 would buy a new RC car, and now like $200 would save my hands, so we'll buy it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I constantly have batteries charging because I use them all the time. So
or even just taking off wheels. I'm like, I
yeah,
have to drag the hose around and like
yep,
the wheels off.
yep. I made an adult purchase the other day for my air compressor as well. I bought a nice air chuck with the gauge on it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because for too long I didn't use one. I just had this stupid hose with the take it off, put the gauge on. Just a pain in the butt. This is way easier.
I was looking at some. I gotta get some better stands because I'm borrowing jack stands,
Okay.
which are actually the recalled Harbor Freight ones.
Oof.
But I was looking at there's OTC makes a nice set that has a deep channel for the
Yep.
pinch weld,
Yep.
and they're only $80 for a set, and they're 3-ton OTCs,
That's not bad.
and they have good reviews, nice welds. They've got little wide spots on the feet because that's a problem with a lot of these jack stands. If you were to use them on pavement, they can sink into the pavement because they have
Mm-hmm.
little thin feet. He's got like wide pads. So
Well, you see my dad's old,
yeah,
heavy duty
welded them
ones. He
together.
welded plates in the bottom so they don't sink
Yeah.
in. But I find that Facebook Marketplace has a lot of those old heavy duty jack stands on it because people buy houses and they're just in the corner of the garage and they try to get rid of them.
Oh,
So
that's good. Yeah.
yeah, I've seen a bunch
Yeah.
of sets of like high quality, like 60s built, 70s built jack stands for like
Oh
20
yeah.
bucks.
Oh, even if you got a set of Sears ones
Yep,
from the 80s or something, those are better than the new Harbor Freight ones.
yep, yeah. So I would check your local Facebook Marketplace for stuff like that. A lot of the heavy duty stuff is pretty cheap on there. So because people buy it and they don't use it anymore, or people don't people buy a house and it was there, or somebody dies and it's left behind and they just blow it out.
I forget where I saw it. Somebody was saying when you check like a Facebook Marketplace or a Craigslist in a town that was an old industrial town that had a lot of shops in it,
Okay,
that's where you can find a lot of good tools for sale used because
okay, makes
people,
sense.
people pass away, their families are selling them.
They packed up shops and now condos are going up.
Mm-hmm.
So excellent. All right, Andrew. I think that's an episode today.
Sounds like an episode.
Yeah, I didn't
Sounds
have a
like
lot of project car updates myself. So
Yeah, I mean we're getting there. We are getting there. So, um, yeah, because I think pretty soon you can come out. You can test drive the G20. So
oh, before we go away, Climb to the Clouds officially rescheduled
that's right. It's August,
August 13th. That weekend,
something like that. Yeah,
whatever that weekend is in August, is Climb to the Clouds
yeah.
2021. It's the
Is it
rescheduled
before or
event.
after Labor Day?
Dead silence because I don't know. It's before. That's before Labor Day.
Yes.
Yes, it's around Labor Day though. So the weekend of so Saturday the 14th, Sunday the 15th, that weekend.
Cool.
So, yep. I will actually already be in town, so I will be going. So that's
Yeah,
good.
we'll figure it out.
Yep. I'm in. Sign me up.
Sounds good.
Driving to the top.
All right. All right. As always, Keep your cars analog and aim for the roses.